Rsquared. What's one tip that you came up with? What's something you learned? What's something you learned? Yeah, go ahead.
Even though your Rsquared value may be very high, it may be an accurate model.
Good, yeah. Good R-squared values may not guarantee that you can use your model to predict very far into the future, right? I think that's what you meant to say. So, what's another way to say that? Be wary of relying on really good R-squared values. Something else, yeah.
I was just talking about finding the data set. It's difficult to find reliable data sets.
Sometimes so I'll just run it. Sometimes it's hard to find good data. Absolutely. What else? Pay attention to inflation. That's important. Certainly write that down. What do you mean by that?
Your model is not going to be accurate if you only base it off of certain numbers and not what they.
Yeah, I'll write. Here's
how they're related to
each other, exactly. A Coke a Coke was much cheaper in 1910. I'll put it like that. Was it really cheaper?
No.
Not necessarily. It could be exactly the same amount, right? What else? What else did you learn? Something else you learned while you were doing your analysis. You learned anything? Any helpful things you came up with? Time? What do you mean by that? Yeah. Time can be a major issue, hard to model. You're talking about like days, months, years, right? Ah. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Okay, so let's talk about your specific data sets. What conclusions did you come to? Anybody come to any conclusions about their specific data set? Did they notice anything about their data set? Anything at all? Be specific. What did you notice about your data set? Anything at all? Raise your hand. Something. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Cubic regression. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Cubic regression on my Wii level attained. That doesn't sound good. Told me that I would go back to level 0. Okay. Something else. What else did you notice? I can pick people at random. You noticed something. Anything? Anything at all? Yeah. What'd you notice?
Pretty scary number that I did China's foreign population.
Foreign population?
Born.
China's born population. Okay.
Yeah. And
This birth rate, you mean?
the data set is pretty normal. It's in millions, and what I use for model is the growth rate.
Yep. And what did you find out?
The R-square is about 0.85, and well, the population of born population of 2011
Yep.
will be a negative number. It means there will be no baby born, and we will kill some babies.
That is not true.
Oh, no.
Okay, let's talk about conclusion analysis here. Okay, so just because the birth rate is negative, what does that mean?
Don't kill babies.
Birth rate being negative. What does that mean, everybody?
It just means that the deaths are higher than
There's more people are dying than being born. That's it, okay? So here's the conclusion. You can come up with really interesting conclusions. Yes, that is true. What else? Any other conclusions? Any other conclusions at all? Yeah. Outliers can really mess up your data. Absolutely. What else? No one came up with any conclusions. You just put stuff in. You modeled it. No one came. The whole point of modeling is to come up with something interesting.
Well,
What'd you come up with?
I noticed.
Yeah. What'd you notice?
The second Twilight film, whatever it's called, brought in almost twice as much as the first one.
Okay.
And the fourth one coming out is probably going to bring in over 300 million.
Oh, so predicting how much the movie will bring in.
Yeah.
Movie 4 will probably
which is kind of embarrassing for those people.
Twilight haters, have you read up on that? That's good stuff. Yeah. There's some people with some strong feelings both ways. Strong feelings. There was a ready. Pausing. So what specifically did you determine? What's one thing you could tell me? One thing. Someone raise their hand and tell me. What's one thing? Yes.
There's a huge difference between what women weigh, I think, compared to what men weigh.
Good. First observation. There's a huge difference between what males and females make. What's something else? Yeah.
They're almost exactly the same.
Linear regression gives a very similar relationship. Okay? Something else. Yeah. The amount of money that women make seems to be growing faster than the amount of money that men make. Sure. Okay. What else? Yeah.
And the actual value of US dollar has been noticeably reducing.
The actual value of the USD has been what?
Reducing.
Has been decreasing. Well, it's going to be decreasing because as you get closer and closer to 2004, the relative difference is going to be less.
Also, between 2000.
Hold on, make it sound. Relative diff is less. Yes, say that again.
Between 2000 and 2004, there, if you had, I'm not sure because there weren't points for it, but based on those 2 points, if there was no change, there isn't much of a change between the income of 2004 and the income of
2000, 2004, there didn't seem to be much of a change of what?
of income for either.
But it's also has a gap, like a 10-year.
10-year gap. It's only a 4-year gap, exactly. So what's the big question? What's the big question? What? So say that in a complete sentence.
The big question is at what time making
When will men and women make the same amount of money? That is the big question, exactly. So let's go to the second part of the quiz. What did the data not tell you? What's missing? If you're going to answer that question, there's other things you might want to know, or if you're exploring that question, there's other things you might want to know. What's one thing? Yeah, Pang.
The amount of money that they made after 2004.
What do you? Oh, so what's the data like for the past 6 years? Why do we only have it at such weird intervals? Census. Data is tied to the national census. What else? What data did it not tell you? There's other. I mean, okay. If you're answering this question right here, when will men and women make the same amount of money? What other things do you have to take into account? There's a lot of factors in there that aren't listed. Yeah. What's one?
Kind of just what's happening in the country at the time. Like maybe
What's happening in the country? Sure. That's a great thing. Like when you look at those stamp prices, it's interesting how something totally over here affects something over here in a very direct way. Absolutely.
Yeah, so you can't get an accurate estimate because it's all this in 2004 data.
Okay, so let's go back to this big question here. Hold on, let's go back to this big question. I'm going to be more specific here. What's the big question? When will men and women make the same amount of money? What's another question you could be asking? Okay, so you have that question, but you might want to know what? Say that again. I mean, will that happen? Will women make more than men? Is that what you're saying? Kind of. Okay. Well, I'll ask you this. We asked the question, when will men and women make the same amount of money? We're admitting that what? This data shows that what? Okay, they're increasing faster than men. But if we're going to solve this problem, if we're going to solve this gap, what do we need to know? What's the big question we need to know? Nope, too specific. When will men and women make the same amount of money? If we're going to solve that, we need to know what? Nope. Does that help us solve? Okay, we know, okay, we can predict when they're going to meet. Great. But in order to get there, what do we need to know? Okay, if I'm a coach and I see you're terrible at shooting jump shots, in order to help you, what do I need to know? What's wrong? Right. Okay, so if we ask the question, when will men and women make the same amount of money, what do we need to know? Why aren't men and women making the same amount of money? Now, here's the thing. Are there probably many reasons for this? Yes. Are there certain things that are controllable? Are there certain things that are uncontrollable? Absolutely. Can someone give me one thing that's, how do I want to say this, uncontrollable about the gap in wages between men and women, relatively uncontrollable?
If they're taking certain jobs that only pay, if women are taking...
Overthinking. We're going to wage more general than that. Let's go more general. See if someone can say it. Ready? Go. Even more general. You're kind of in the right place. You're kind of in the right place. Ah, we're going to get there. We got there a lot sooner. We got there a lot sooner than my last class. Yes, discrimination. Okay. Discrimination. Yes, that's what we're looking for. But there's another... Can someone give me the basic...
Gender.
Yes, that's the thing, but... Yeah? Yeah. Can someone give me one uncontrollable thing? Yeah. What's one uncontrollable thing that leads to women making less money than men? Yes. Yes, women have babies. Men do not, okay? Immutable facts of biology, when you have a baby, you're probably not working full-time. This has different impacts in different countries. Point being, when you're trying to answer this question, when will men and women make the same amount of money, you also need to ask yourself, will they? What's been found time and time again is this. When you take away all the uncontrollables, when you account for them, when you account for things like pregnancy, when you account for like physical, differences in strength, that kind of thing, many different controllable factors, what do you still find exists? There's still a what? Even when you account for pregnancy, even when you account for everything that is uncontrollable about physical differences between a man and a woman, what still exists?
Women's income increasing more rapidly.
Yes, that's true, but what still exists? The gap. The gap still exists. The gap still exists. Even when you have accounted for all of these different factors. And does this data give you any insight into those factors? What's it not telling you about? All of the potential differences in factors that lead to women making less than men. When you take away all of the controllable factors, you still end up with a difference. Why do we think that difference happens? Where's that difference coming from? Yeah. It's already up on the board. Yeah, what's another way to say that? What's a better word in this case? Sexism. Thank you very much. There we go. Sexism, yay. So we can actually get numeric, data-driven evidence of massive sexism in the United States. Everything is relative, correct? Hot, cold, bad, good. Just about everything is relative. So therefore, when I say 5, that could be a big number or a small number, right? Like $5 to someone is not much money. $5 to another person is the most money they've ever seen in their entire life, right? So yes, all numbers are subjective, but let's look at this right now. If you can get the 2009 data, the 2009 data tells us, to make this graph a little bit more accurate, not accurate, but more mean a little more, are we really interested in how much money men make? No. Are we interested in how much money women make? No. What are we interested in? How much, the gap between. Doesn't really how much it is, it's the percentage comparison. So if you look at the data in 2004, did you notice it was all people over 15 who make some money? That's kind of like the biggest data set possible. The gap was, if you took the amount of money women made and divided it by the amount of money men made, it was 57.8%, right? If you limit it to full-time year jobs, so working full-time, if you limit it to full-time year jobs, it gets better. Do you know what? That's what people generally look at. When you see the wage gap number, it's based on full-time year, usually. Does anybody know what the percentage generally is right now, or what it is right now? Essentially, the question is, today, in the United States, full-time jobs, women make this percent of the salary that a man makes, doing the same job. Now, what's the gap? How much money on the dollar? So if a man makes $1, a woman makes how much? 77. 77. It's 77 cents on the dollar. That's what it comes out to right now. Two people doing the exact same job. One's a man, one's a woman. On average, the woman makes 23% less. Interesting, huh? So, okay, so remember we had that, I think we had it a couple days ago. I pasted this into the notes. Let me find it here if I can find it. So we just used, oh no, it's not there. Let's go to the 28th. I know I pasted it in at some point. Maybe it's on the 25th. Is this modeling? Do you remember that the whole point of mathematical modeling? I put it in here somewhere. Here it is. Let's copy this in. So we have this data. What's the real world problem? Men make more than women. Have we formulated could we formulate a model based on the data? Yeah, we can model and then answer the question, when are they going to intersect? Our conclusion could be we think they're going to intersect sometime in the future, right? Does it look like they're getting closer together?
Yeah.
Looks like it. We can interpret the data and we can make a prediction, but what could our new problem be? So even if we predict they're going to come together here, it would be better if they did what? Okay, if the gap is eliminated in 50 years, it would be better if the gap was sooner. So what's your new real world problem?
How quickly can we eliminate the gap?
Exactly, how quickly. We can always make it better. So you can answer the problem, but then refine what you're doing and get more data. I'll just pause this here. Does anybody know? We're coming up with your homework assignment. Your homework assignment is going to be, all of you are going to model either one or two sets of data, but we're going to decide as a class what we're going to model. So we need something specific that we're going to look up, research, and model. What do you want to model as a class? This is where you get to come up with ideas. We'll come up with a few ideas and vote on them. What's one idea? Something to do with TV shows. What do we want to do with TV shows? How about this? Number of Americans who watch TV over the last 40 years. How about that? Okay, there's one. What's another one? This is your chance to make up the homework assignment, kids. Sports, politics, religion. Popular number of what? So like pets in, like pets, yeah, sure. Okay. Number of, let me write that other one down too. Number of viewers of the World Cup over time. How about this? You could research number of pets in the U.S. per person over time. What else? Someone give me something else we could talk. Number of abandoned pets? Yeah. Is that what you meant? And it might not be per person, but it has to be per something, right? Because as we have more people, there's going to be more pets. So you might have more abandoned pets, but it might be less. But you could take a look at that, number of abandoned pets per person. What else? What's another thing?
Number of cars per family.
Number of cars per family in the U.S. over time. Let's come up with one other, something different. Politics, science, religion, entertainment, atmosphere. What? So oil imports. So how about this? Energy consumption per person in the U.S. compared to what? Compared to where?
England.
England. Okay. So think about this. We'll call this choice A. We'll call this choice, let's just get an idea of who wants to do what. Choice B. Don't move yet. C, D, and E. So think of the one you'd like to do. Let's take a quick vote to eliminate a couple of these. Who wants to do A? Who wants to do B? C? D? D? E. There's a few for each. You pick one. Your homework is to analyze one of these data sets. And the thing is, you have to find this data set. Homework. Find and analyze one of these data sets. Yep.